Tonight's headlines: Duterte coup will never happen, says Lorenzana. Palace asks public to wait on corruption report. Department of Education to file raps against persons behind erroneous modules. Coronavirus cases in the country at 527,272. Philippines ready to repatriate Filipinos from Myanmar. House OK's final reading suspension of contribution hikes. PSEi surges on vaccine developments. And Philippine balance of payments closes with all-time high. Good evening. Today is Monday, February 1, 2021. I am Elmer Navarro Manuel and this is Tribune News on Cue. Here are the stories for this evening. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana on Monday assured the public that there would be no coup d'etat against the Duterte administration. His statement came following the present situation in Myanmar, wherein State Councilor Aung San Suu Kyi and other political leaders were detained after the country's military took power. According to Lorenzana, the military and the police fully support President Duterte, adding that the latter also enjoys a very high approval rating of 91% based on the results of a PSEi survey in October 2020. In 2019, the Philippine military already made assurance that there was no coup d'etat attempt against Duterte. Malacanang has asked the public to wait for developments in President Rodrigo Duterte's campaign against corruption. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque has reiterated earlier pronouncements that Duterte would devote his remaining months in office to fighting corruption. This comes after the Philippines dropped from 113th in 2019 to 115th in 2020 in the Corruption Perception Index of Watchdog Transparency International. Roque stressed that the president has employed a shame campaign against corrupt government officials and personnel and tapped agencies to reduce red tape as well as to investigate those suspected of wrongdoing. Education Secretary Leonor Briones on Monday disclosed that the Department of Education will file cases against persons responsible for careless mistakes printed on students' self-learning modules. Briones said the DepEd has an error watch mechanism in place to detect and deal with errors on modules. Errors on self-learning modules have made headlines in the past, including one that discouraged peaceful assembly and another that portrayed a farmer's family in tattered clothes, while one module also went viral for making use of names that seemed to have sexual innuendos. The Education Secretary earlier sought help of the Department of Justice on how to deal with people who falsely attributed errors in modules to the DepEd. Briones also said it was possible that errors were made out of some teachers' haste to put out modules in order to sell these to students. Tribune News on Cue will be back after these reminders.
that's it. Never thought self-service can be this slick. Modify plans in a snap, walang hirap. It's a wrap, just tap the app. Now you can check, view, subscribe, renew. Help and support for you. Out with the ring apps are the in thing. You know what to do. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Self-service and easy to use. Mas okay tayo dyan. Globe at home and Globe One, all in the Globe app na yan. Instant response, no hold time pa, wala nang hintayan. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan. Download the Globe One and Globe at Home apps from Google Play Store and Apple App Store now. Download Globe at Home and Globe One app, all in the Globe app na yan.
Magsha-shopping na lang ako!
Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver.
Hello, can I get the following? One pink chair, bed sheets, na pink yung sofa, tapos slide, size 8, pajamas na blue. Oh, don't forget ang...
Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver.
Wait lang, okay ba yan?
Anything at the SM store, ma'am.
Call to deliver. Call.
Kuya, pwede rin ba ako magpa-deliver sa ate ko sa Taguig, tapos sa friend ko sa Davao, tsaka sa... cancel ko sa Lipa? Okay ba yan?
Kahit saan po, pwede kami mag-deliver.
Call to deliver. Call. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver. Call. Hashtag 143SM. Hashtag 143SM. Call to deliver.
Call na rin kayo.
Call to deliver.
Iba ng panahon, ang dami ng bago ngayon. Pati ang mundo natin, well, nagbago na rin. Buti ano bayan, bigger, better na. You can buy it sa centers, pati sa mga partners, may online pa at app. You can buy it with your fingers, still don't remittance and more. Online shopping, you can buy it all. Di magpadala, you can buy it all. Anumang pera transaction, you can buy it all. Sabayan ang pagbabago ng mundo for all your pera transactions, all new Bayan.
The Department of Health reported 1,658 confirmed coronavirus disease cases on Monday to bring the total number of infected in the country to 527,272, even as 5 laboratories failed to submit reports on time. The number of recoveries, on the other hand, now stands at 487,574 after 27 patients recovered from the respiratory disease. The death toll is now at 10,807 with 58 fatalities recorded. There are also 28,891 active cases undergoing treatment or quarantine. Meanwhile, the OCTA research group underscored the need to explore whether the UK coronavirus variant is present in Cebu. Experts earlier sounded the alarm on a surge of infections in Cebu province, which they said had become a cause for serious concern. In other news, Malacanang disclosed on Monday that air and sea assets of the armed forces of the Philippines are on standby to fetch Filipinos in Myanmar who wish to be repatriated due to the political turmoil in the former British colony. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the government's primary objective is to ensure the safety of over 1,200 Filipinos in Myanmar. The Department of Foreign Affairs, meantime, said it is in touch with the Filipino community amid the political unrest in the Southeast Asian country, where the military declared that it has taken control of the government. Myanmar's de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi and other officials have been detained as the military insisted on its claim of vote fraud in last November's election that Suu Kyi's party won decisively, according to reports. The military also declared a one-year state of emergency after seizing power. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives on Monday approved on final reading 2 bills that separately authorized the President of the Philippines to suspend increases in the contribution to the Social Security system and the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation. The Chamber passed House Bills 8512 and 8461 to empower the President to suspend the implementation of scheduled increases to contribution rates for the pension fund and the state health insurer. Suspending PhilHealth's scheduled 0.5% rate hike will not jeopardize the financial viability of the social health insurance program, according to Marikina Representative Stella Kimbo, who authored HB 8461. Despite the pleas of some minority lawmakers, the bill would now be transmitted to the Senate, which needs to pass a counterpart measure before the legislation can be submitted to Malacanang for the President's signature. We'll pause for a short break. Stay with us.
This is a very important story. The important story.
Pictures and stories.
Today, we feel the weight of history on our shoulders. The way we have been moving leads nowhere. We need to change course.
Since the United Nations was founded, the human race has never had to face a set of challenges like we do right now. But together, we can overcome them.
Ang Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators o POGO ay isang legitimate business entity na nagbibigay serbisyo sa offshore gaming para lamang sa mga manlalarong nasa abroad sa pamamagitan ng internet. Ang mga serbisyong handog nito ay katulad ng casino games at sports betting na pwedeng laruin kahit wala sa casino. Sa Pilipinas, walang POGO operators. Tanging POGO service providers lamang dahil nagaganap ang mga laro sa labas ng bansa.
In business, Philippine share prices surged by over 3% on Monday, driven by optimism over the availability of vaccines in the country by March. The local stock barometer PSEi gained 202.14 points or 3.06% to close at 6,814.76 at the closing bell. The broader all shares gained 96.34 points or 2.40% to 4,103.67. Monday's climb came after announcements of COVID-19 vaccine availability and ahead of the release of January inflation data on Friday, February 5. More than 32.109 billion shares valued at 9.983 billion pesos changed hands. Advancers led decliners 130 to 82 and 45 issues were unchanged. And the Bangko Sentral ng Filipinos on Monday released data showing that the Philippine balance of payments position reported a $4.24 billion surplus in December 2020 to bring the full-year surplus to an all-time high of $16.02 billion. The BSP said that the surplus in December reflected inflows mainly from foreign exchange operations and income from its investments abroad, as well as the national government's foreign currency deposits, with the central of proceeds from the issuance of ROP global bonds. These inflows were partly offset, however, by the national government's payment of its foreign currency debt obligations, and the monthly figure compares with the $1.473 billion surplus in November and $1.572 billion in December 2020, while the full-year figure is over double the $7.84 billion surplus in 2019. The BOP consists of Philippine transactions with the rest of the world during a specific period. A surplus means more funds enter the country, while a deficit means more funds left. That wraps up the stories tonight. Catch the latest news on our website, tribune.net.ph, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tribune Now. The Daily Tribune is one with the nation in facing the COVID-19 crisis, and in line with this, the Daily Tribune digital edition and press reader is now available for free online. You can also download the Daily Tribune app on Apple Store or Google Play to get the latest and most comprehensive news online. Daily Tribune is also inviting everyone to join its community Viber Katribu to get updates on the freshest and hottest news and entertainment stories of the day. Tarsito emoticons are also available on our community Viber. Just visit the sticker store on Viber.
Araneta City, home to the country's first indoor shopping mall, the world's original Thrilla, and the first ever Bini Bini pageant. Now a place for your first win, your first catch, your first home, your first big break, your first date, and even your first love. Araneta City, the city of firsts.
Good morning, sir. How may I help you?
Bakit kailangan ko pang pumunta sa bangko?
Kung nga naman, sir, ba't kailangan pang pumunta sa bangko?
Why not get a UB app so you can do all these without going to the bank? Bank the way you live. Union Bank.